So let's welcome back everybody to the monthly Holistic Actions Q&As where we can walk with you all down this path to pet wellness based on energy and love and balance. And I know Ruth and Karen have questions. So Karen, sorry Ruth, but Karen raised her hand first. But
Great.
anyone,
I'll
please
let
just
Jeff.
raise your hand if you have any questions. So Kieran, what's up?
My question is pretty simple. I feed my dogs sardines as a topper on their raw food. Is there an issue with you having them packed in olive oil?
Great question. Usually not, but the oil in some sensitive dogs can trigger, diarrhea, vomiting, even pancreatitis in some cases. So I wouldn't give much of the oil. Or just choose sardines packed in water or tomato sauce or any other form. Karen, it's really all about this individual susceptibility. So there are some dogs and some cats and some people that tolerate the oils just fine, but there are others that it acts as a trigger to other issues. Now, in my mind, if it triggers them, then that's a good indication that we need to deal with the underlying factor that induced the triggering, allowed the triggering in the first place. But you may be safer if your dog has it all of a sensitive GI. You may be safer with just sardines in water or tomato sauce, or certainly
Well,
drain the oil off.
okay. Well, I've been doing it for quite a while, and they haven't reacted. But I read somewhere that you shouldn't put use all. Well, they said don't cook with olive oil first, but I don't, they're not really cooked. They're just soaking in it. And I actually don't pour the olive oil into the food. I just take the sardines out of the tin and put it on top of their food. I mean, I had never heard that there was something wrong with olive oil until recently. And so I wanted to make sure that there's something, that there's not an issue with the olive oil itself.
Not that
That,
I'm aware of, and I guess
okay.
if there is, I
You
need
hear
to
all these
keep,
different things. It's like,
uh,
don't eat
and
eggs and, that stuff.
that's exactly why we're disrupting. We're here to disrupt the overwhelm from all that information, but transfer that overwhelm of information into wisdom. And the wisdom is just what you said, that they've been getting it, they're doing fine, they probably love it. Just keep doing it. And Jenny, I mean, I'll have to ask you here. Have you ever heard this? That there's an issue with olive oil? You're muted. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot,
You
but
did that when I wasn't looking. Uh, uh, no, I have not. I would be worried about the extra calories, and I would be worried about the fact that the olive oil is heated, that they're actually put in the tins and then cooked in the olive oil. So I would minimize it as much as possible. I might suggest that you look around for fishermen if you're in a place where there are commercial fishermen because they use them for bait and they are likely to be able to get bulk sardines frozen without anything added to them. That's what we get, but I get them from California and that's 2 states away, but we can still get them.
yeah,
Uh,
and
I don't know. I would minimize it. I think it's extra calories and it's cooked oil, so it's hot, it's been heated, so it's been somewhat transformed chemically. So I wouldn't.
I, I, I don't think they're cooked.
Yeah, they are. If
Um,
they're in a can, they're cooked.
they are?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
They cook them in the cans. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
That's good to know. Thanks.
all right. Thank
Okay.
you, Jenny.
Eat them anyway.
But yeah, exactly. Just use them. Don't worry. It's like we were outside. I was playing with the dog and had a little deer tick crawling on me. It's like, I'll just brush them off and let them live in the grass because all the ticks and all the exposure and all the dirt that she eats, it's just boosting the immune system. It's just decreasing that susceptibility, Karen, that I said that it's really what we need to be most concerned about is that individual susceptibility. So, Ruth,
Yeah,
what's up?
sorry, I didn't see that her hand had gone up. I am, first of all, in answer to the sardines, Trader Joe's carries them packed in water and they're cheap. So I would go if you have a Trader Joe's, be easy to find. I am worried because my newest dog has not experienced Fourth of July living with me, so I have no idea how she's going to react. But we've had a lot of thunder lately, and she has been startled by that. So I'm wondering, I did see that aconite might be a possible remedy. But if there's a better one, when do you give it? Do you dose in advance? Do you wait till they start to react? Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And as you know, Ruth, there is no remedy for fireworks, so no remedy for this, no remedy for that. And what I would be working on, number one, is
Here.
well, I'd be working on me. It's like, Maya's never been exposed to fireworks either. She's never been exposed to thunder, and she did startle when she heard the big thunder, but, by our being calm, the very first thing they're going to do is look to you to make sure it's okay, and if you're calm and meditating or in a balanced state, they really, really, really are fine. I mean, I would not be worried at all. If your dog reacts, certainly there are things that you can do. Aconite is a good remedy to use either before or during. But I would probably lean more on things like rescue remedy or stress stopper or other energetic balancing techniques that can work both before, during, and after. But again, start with not being not expecting, not being concerned that they're going to react, because most dogs actually don't. They react because we react, because we're worried that they're going to have a reaction. And it's that energetic relationship between us and the dogs that really is more of the problem than the problem of the dog themselves. So I would say that just have a great, even, balanced 4th of July. Ruth, do you have another dog?
I have three, and when we had thunder the other night, I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I had three dogs on top of me. So
And that's because they want to make sure that everything is okay and safe. And as long as you stay, Maya was up pacing last night, and all I did was lie there and breathe, and we started breathing in synchrony, and she went to sleep, and it was fine.
they did calm down, but I'm just concerned if I'm not home at the time and they're alone, and then there is nobody here to help them.
Well, so Ruth, sometimes when you're not there, they're much better off because they're not as
That's what I
worried.
have to say. Well, thank you,
And
disembodied
other times they totally freak out. Now, if you're home, there was a man who shared on one of our forums or something brilliantly. He had dogs that were sensitive to noise and thunderstorms, or a dog. And what he did, as maybe months ahead of time, but you could try it now, is he was just sitting on the couch. Of course, you've got three to work with. And he said, treat. And finally, his dog came over and he gave him a treat. And then a couple of times a day, he would do that. And then he would make noise, either himself or he played a tape recording. And as soon as the dog started to react, he said, treat, and had the dog come over. And then when there was a thunderstorm, the dog started to react. And then the dog looked at him and he said, treat. And the dog was totally fine and came over. And after a while was completely relaxed. Number two is, while homeopathic remedies are so specific that it's hard to rely on them for just give this for that, flower essences are much more general, or essential oils are much more general. So Stress Stopper from Jackson
I
Galaxy,
have
that
that. I have Rescue Remedy. I have through it
perfect.
here
So
the little musical thing.
excellent. So if there's going to be a storm when you're gone, just put some in, around the house in a bowl of water somewhere, not necessarily their drinking water.
Which
So
is
play around with that.
which essential oils would you recommend? Because I have all of those as well.
I don't know. Sorry, not an expert in that area.
Thank
You'll
you.
have to research that one. And also test ahead of time.
Right.
You can also get thunder shirts or use the figure 8 bandage, but you want to do it. Here's the key thing that I didn't learn until I was faculty for Holistic Actions, and we had a great speaker, is you don't want to wait until there's a thunderstorm to use them. You want to use them ahead of time and get them. This is a happy time. We're putting it on and now it's a happy time. So that would be another strategy. And keep working. Use all the clues, record them in each journal for each dog, and see if you need to work on rebalancing their vital force with constitutional kind of treatment.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm sure other people can use some of this information as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Jeff?
Ginny?
Yeah, a huge vote for thunder shirts. I had an extremely paranoid, nervous female, and a thunder shirt saved her life. They do work. There's something about that comfort around them. And again, get it ahead, use it ahead.
I have them, but the problem is when you have multiple dogs who play too much, they rip them off of one another. So unless I'm here to actually watch them, I probably come home to shreds.
Can you accustom them to the thunder shirts when there's nothing going on so that they'd be more likely to leave them alone and more likely that the residual emotional impact of them would carry through?
I would try, but I think even harnesses I can't leave on them because they start playing too energetically and they're just
so it's a matter of continuing to explore.
Yes.
And maybe working with an animal communicator would be good, but we probably need to move on.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome, Ruth. Thank you. Anna?
Hi, I have a question. So I have not been feeding my animals cat food, raw chicken, or duck since the bird flu. I've moved to small batch beef and lamb. Do I need to be concerned at all about the high fat content in those? Do I need to rotate some wet food options in? I do give them some wet food as well, but I don't know if I should be concerned with like high fat foods like that.
How many cats do you have?
I have two.
2 cats. Okay. And have you tried just taking some meat rather than a commercial food? Have you tried just buying meat at the store or at a farmer's market or a farm and feeding it to them? Or are you a vegetarian or a vegan?
No, but
Okay.
you mean like chicken or turkey from the store?
Well, I would prefer you get it organic from a local farmer that is not, that you talk with them personally and
Yeah.
they're not dealing with the bird flu there. So that's one option. Another option is to include some fresh fish. Now, Dr. Hovey does not like fish for cats. I
Yeah.
think it's fine in rotation.
Yeah.
Beef heart and other mainly beef heart for cats and or chicken hearts for cats can be good.
You mean raw chicken hearts?
Or the freeze-dried ones.
Oh, okay.
I would try to stay away from canned food. You can do it. There are a lot of other foods you can rotate. And you're a member of Holistic Actions, right, Anna?
I'm a member now again. I was.
Okay, great. So be sure you post this in the forum. And for
Okay.
those of you who are not members, this is one of the big benefits of being a member is she can post in the forum and we can give lots more suggestions, and members as well as the faculty can give her more suggestions on what to feed. The key thing is if you're feeding, and it's fine to do small batch, but you do want more variety.
Okay.
And it's okay to feed cooked food some of the time.
Okay.
So if what you want to do is feel safe by cooking some chicken to rotate through, that's fine too.
Okay. When you said fish, do you mean raw fish? Because I
Raw-
give chicken salmon.
Salmon's fine, but you can do cooked or raw, and you can do whatever's local.
Okay.
Because there's problems with all foods. And I know Dr. Hovey's concerned. She says cats don't normally eat fish in the wild. And there's the Monterey fish guide, the Monterey Aquarium fish guide that is updated regularly to help you know which fish at this moment have more or less heavy metals in them. And eggs and dairy are also good. Raw goat's milk is wonderful. Raw or cooked eggs is fine. So start exploring other foods. Maybe do a search on the forum for what people have said about what their cats like to eat.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. Jeff, I can't see anything from the prior chat because I just got on, so it's up to
Got
you.
it. All right. Well, I will either read the questions, 'cause there are.
And while you're reading it, I'll say I am literally on the border between Wyoming and South Dakota. And I called AT&T for the town I would be at, and they said there was 5G. I showed up and it was no town. It was a cat litter digging up the silica sand kind of place. And I went to their administrative office and they said, oh no, only Verizon has coverage here. But they said if you go to the border, there's a cell tower that's AT&T and you'll have 5G there. Well, I've got 2 or 3G, but at least I'm here. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. So Christine had a great suggestion for Ruth about using letting your dogs do snuffle mats before, during, or after the thunder, and of course the biomusic one, which you can play when you're not there.
And I think Whitney earlier had said she was having great success with the biomusic.
Yeah, Christine said that as well, that she's,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to try it. And we're planning to do a clinical trial where, hopefully everybody will get to try it. Tasha asked if the MDR1 test is worth doing for collies. Is it accurate? Yes, it is accurate. I feel like my Sheltie is definitely sensitive to drugs, judging by his reaction to them. Yeah. Tasha, do you want to unmute and ask anything?
But first,
Directly.
one thing I want to chime in on is if you've noticed already that he's had a reaction to drugs, then rather than just doing the test and then being careful about avoiding drugs, the key is to be working with a homeopathic or Chinese medicine veterinarian to rebalance that underlying vital force. So even if there's a genetic predisposition to having problems, then there'll be less of a chance of having problems should you need to use them along the way. And I'll let Dr. Jeff speak about the test itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, you answered the bottom line is, that's susceptibility, Tasha. That susceptibility to the drugs is really what we need to address because it is working at the genetic level. And yeah, I mean, I've seen collies, Shelties, other dogs that are sensitive become unsensitive. I mean, that was actually how I discovered homeopathy in the first place. So I was a allergic person that couldn't deal with dogs, cats, or other animals, and homeopathy changed that. But for everyone, MDR1 is a mutation or it's a gene that they can test for. I love Embark, Tasha. Embark is my favorite for genetic testing. But like the genes are not the answer. They are not going to determine if your dog is going to have a reaction to a drug or not. I mean, my own dog has 2 copies of a copper storage gene that's a problem in some dogs, and I don't really worry about the copper that she takes in because we're dealing with the underlying susceptibility. And also Christine mentioned the chamomile oil for you, Ruth, or anyone that wants to calm your dog or cat down. Chamomile is great essential oil from from Animal EO. I don't know where you left off. Bettina asked.
Yeah, and those are very reliable. Melissa Shelton's essential oils, and there are other ones that are good as well. And also, Nancy mentioned about always getting salt free. You know, we're supposed to be rotating all of our food. So if one day every 2 weeks or one day a week you're feeding sardines that have salt in them, don't worry about it. It's like the only thing to worry about is make sure that over time you're feeding something with calcium and probably with cats some taurine. But other than that, I wouldn't, it's like a little bit of anything is okay. But yeah, Melissa Shelton's essences are quite reliable. She's been very careful with that. And Riley gave a great suggestion of playing a YouTube video loop called Fireworks and Crowd Sounds. And so you can get them used to it again ahead of time. And I would add in that treat part of it. That I think that would be an extra addition.
Definitely.
And then
Sorry.
Bettina has a great question. And Dr. Jeff, I'd love your feedback on this as well. So Bettina's asking for old cats, 13 and 14. That is not old, by the way. That is barely adulthood with holistically treated cats. Middle-aged, okay. And when they should have a health check and what blood tests would be good. So number one is so let me back up. Cats and dogs are a little different in my answer to this because many cats do not like to ride in cars, whereas many dogs are fine with riding in cars. But it's not, that's not completely true. So if you have cats, whenever you get them used to riding in cars. Get them to love riding in cars, whatever it takes. And that way it opens up your possibilities of who you can work with. I suggest going to the holisticactions.com/select, whether you're a member or not, doesn't matter. Read that article on how to find a holistic vet. Start with where you are on all the websites and then move out. See if you can find a veterinarian who's trained in Chinese medicine and can feel tongue and pulse, who's trained in chiropractic, who's trained in homeopathy, or homeopathy can be done virtually, but the Chinese medicine, if you go to a person who's trained in good Chinese medicine and chiropractic for your annual physical exam, they may pick up things early. If you're working with a homeopath on a regular basis, then you will be picking up problems early when you're not waiting for them to become ill. If you're keeping a journal, and a member benefit is the Healthy Cat Journal and the Healthy Dog Journal. You can download those ebooks. If you're not a member, and it'd be worth being a member for at least 1 month to get the book, you can purchase the books from my site, christinachambreau.com. And so if you're tracking the early warning signs of illness and behavior, energy, appetite, and mood, then you will be picking up on any problems any possible things that are off, and start looking for energetic treatment, start changing things that you're doing to see what makes a difference. And so it doesn't matter what age they are, is the point I'm making. And I do recommend, in addition to an annual exam by a holistic veterinarian, even if they're not great with Chinese medicine, or maybe they'll be at least more open that you're feeding fresh food and wanting to avoid vaccines and toxins like flea chemicals, is to work with an animal intuitive at least twice a year. Do a session, get one you like to work with that can do medical scanning. And remember, nobody is right. There are no experts that are 100% right. So you have to take everything you get, including your own observations, into context. But that would be what I would be recommending for the 13 and 14-year-old cats. I would also, for anybody with cats, who's a member, be sure you listen to Anitra Frazier's 2 talks. And members and non-members, I'd pick up her book, The Natural Cat. She just talks cat. And it's a wonderful book, and they're great talks to listen to. Dr. Jeff, what blood tests would you be recommending, whether they're going to a conventional or a holistic at 14 and 13?
Great question. And the answer is it depends. Depends on
If
what
they're not showing anything.
right. It depends on if they're showing anything, but also what the vet sees on exam. If there's a liver abnormality, I mean, they'll probably just run a CBC, complete blood count, a chemistry profile, a urinalysis, and a resting thyroid. That's what we would call a baseline for any cat at that age, or actually any cat over the age of 7. But any other tests, I would defer to what if your vet decides needs to be run, based on the examination.
And most importantly, when you're going to a veterinarian, regardless of what they are, how they're trained, you want to work until you can find ones that you feel very comfortable with, and maybe take a friend with you, or ask the vet if you can record what they're saying, or definitely take really good notes and ask questions. The vet says, oh, your cat has gingivitis. That's common in old cats, and we need to remove some teeth and do a cleaning. And rather than just going, oh, okay, or leaving the vet and then posting on the forum, the vet said this, should I do it? Ask the vet, show me what you mean. Why are you saying that? Let me see. Your cat has a heart murmur, or dog, whatever word, whichever species has a heart murmur. Say, is it loud enough that I could hear it? Can I use your stethoscope and hear it? Can you show me? Can you feel it from the outside? So be a nudgy client, make sure you're getting the answers and you're not just being told things. Ask for explanations and why they want to do one thing or another. And yes, Bettina, it's good to give the bones. Bones are great. In the wild, they do not have a knife and debone everything they eat. Actually, they don't debone anything they eat. So, and when they've been cooked, when these fish have been cooked and canned, the bones are fine. They're soft. The bones that cause a problem is bones that have, like a chicken leg that's been cooked and then it's been eaten, and then the bone has dried out. That's where you run into the most problems. But otherwise, not so much. Okay, what's next?
I think we may be caught up. So
Well, anybody else have a question? Raise your hand. Now, Bettina said, I've not been able to take care of them before, so a whole new start for us. Bettina, if you are not a member, be sure to take the 101 course. It's available for non-members, the fundamentals course, and do all 5 lessons. And then you can go to the forum and you can read the forum as a non-member. If you're a member, dig in. We've got tons of material for you to learn from. And be sure, if you're a member, to schedule your 15-minute call with Dr. Jeff or myself. And if you're a new member, or you're now considering becoming a member so you get more information, watch the video, which is how to use this site, what's here on the site. And on the last Monday of every month, we have Aruna does a Zoom where she goes over it briefly, and then you can ask any questions you want. Like, how do I find this? And I didn't know that was there, because there's a lot there. So Bettina, that's great. Wonderful for you. And Ginny, who always researches things and is really wonderful, and does talk about the fact that Pacific salmon that go in freshwater streams can pick up a liver fluke. Or can pick up a fluke. So many people do recommend freezing or cooking the salmon that you're getting from those areas. And it's fine, Anna, to not feel comfortable giving raw fish. Some cooked food is fine. The key is fresh food. And the second key is trying to support local farmers and getting to know your purveyor, getting to know who they are. So that's a really important thing. Okay. Anna said, best advice ever, get used to cats riding in cars. You know, every cat, let me take that back. Almost every cat and dog really can learn how to do everything. So another great tidbit, and we talk about this in many of our webinars and teachings at Holistic Actions, is start whenever you get an animal, training them to love, love, love being examined, to love having their ears cleaned, even if they aren't dirty, to love having their mouth looked at. So you can, if you're worried that don't want to brush their teeth, at least do this. Take your, for those of you not watching this and just listening, take your finger and rub the teeth. I asked my dentist about it because one of our speakers said to do that. And my dentist said, yep, that's all you need to do, except for people, you have to then floss to get between the teeth. But dogs and cats, their teeth are far enough apart that that's not a super big problem. But also teach them to love having their mouth opened wide so you can look in the back of it. A cat starting to gag or stick their tongue out or not want to eat, you look in their mouth, you may find that they picked up a string that's caught on the back of their tongue. And you know you need to go to the emergency room right away. But if you can't open their mouth, it makes it harder for you to figure out what to do next. Make sure they let you take their temperature, that they'll roll on their back and you can feel their belly, or for a cat, maybe just on their side and you can feel them. So work on letting them do anything. Make sure cats, starting with day one, train them to love a harness so they can go outdoors and roll in the dirt. And they can eat stuff outdoors. So really take that time and have it be fun. There, we talk about all sorts of ways, and I'm not the best in terms of telling you training, but we have experts that are very good at that. So, you know, we've had webinars on that, and there's much you can do. And if you're a member, you can post on the website. So who next?
Yeah.
Haha, look at that. Jenny says rubbing teeth is great. You can do a rag, but your finger sometimes is equally good. And very good point. Tina Ellenbogen, who posts with us and comes to these, is a holistic veterinarian from Washington State. And she said, every time a cat or dog yawns, look at their teeth, look at their gums. And that's a great time to do it. And if you get in the habit, you'll pick things up sooner. If you're doing a monthly exam, as you're training that, once you've trained them, you may miss something that if you're checking every time they yawn, they'll do it. You know, it's interesting, as a conventional vet, when I was merely a conventional vet and vet technician, every time I was petting a dog, I'd sort of lift their ear and look in their ear, because ear problems in dogs were such a problem because of bad food, etc. But I was with a group of homeopathic veterinarians, and we were visiting a Navajo reservation, and we were in a person's home. She was showing us the things she made, and about 5 of us were sitting on a couch, and a cat started walking along the back of the couch, and each one of us reached up and lifted the lip to look at the gums and the teeth and the gum color. So because that was that was a common problem we would see there. So so yeah, now Bettina's in Denmark. Okay. I had forgotten that, Bettina. So yeah, I would, if a veterinarian says anything that you're not sure about, that's not obvious to you. Now, if they open the cat's mouth and wiggle a tooth and it's loose, and you can see that it's red, the gums are red around it, and they're saying this tooth needs to come out, it still could come out on their own. So it'd be absolutely fine to schedule an appointment with us. And again, have you gotten we've talked about you finding a virtual homeopath to work with. So if you have a virtual homeopath, I would call them because they know all about your cat. And if you haven't found them, be sure you go post in the forum and keep saying, I haven't found one yet, help. Let us keep helping you until you find one. Um, and and the other thing that you can do is what I do for my business is I do pet health coaching. I no longer prescribe and treat the way Dr. Jeff does. So he takes patients, but who are members of Holistic Actions, but I do coaching to help answer questions like that, to ask the questions that help you make decisions. And whether you're a member or not, you can work with me. And again, at my website, christinachambreau.com. So hopefully that answered it. Ask more if, Bettina, if that wasn't clear enough. Well, what I'm saying, Anna says, are you saying try to avoid pulling teeth? They don't need to be pulled or they're going to fall out on their own. It might not be necessary to do that trauma to the body. So one of my cats at about age 14 developed a really bad stomatitis. Well, not bad. He developed moderate stomatitis and his gums were red, particularly against one or two teeth in the back on the molars. And I consulted with a friend of mine who's a homeopath, and she and I talked about what remedies might be good. And after the second remedy, or probably, I think after the second remedy, one of the teeth, one of the molars in the back fell out. And then all of the gum condition completely cleared up. So by using remedies, we allowed the body to heal itself.
That's amazing.
We allowed the body to take care of it.
Wow.
Yes, go
I
ahead,
didn't
Anna.
know that you can help stomatitis with a homeopathic vet. I would have called my homeopathic vet already because my cat has stomatitis, gingivitis, periodontal disease, and he sounds like a hot mess, but I'm trying to find a new vet. In the meantime, I can reach out to Dr. Herman and ask her
Yep.
to help him with stomatitis, right?
Absolutely. So everybody who's here, absolutely, well, 95% of conditions can be helped with homeopathy, really good Chinese medicine, chiropractic, depending on the condition. Do not ever say this one has to be done conventionally. They don't have to stay on thyroid medication. They don't have to, if they're hypothyroid, they don't have to stay on insulin if they're diabetic. They don't have to stay on a special diet because they're, quote, allergic to food. There's no condition. So once you get a homeopathic veterinarian that you're working with virtually, or you have a Chinese medicine veterinarian or a chiropractor or several that you're working with, they are the first person you go to when you have a problem. And they may say, well, I need to have you go to your local veterinarian if you don't have a holistic local. I need to have you go to your local veterinarian and have an exam or blood work or testing or diagnostics done. But if they don't say that, they'll start and while you're getting that done, they can start treating without even knowing, often without knowing what the problem is. So there's very little that has to be treated conventionally. Now, having said that, we're not always successful with every individual. 30 years ago, I was treating a cat with hyperthyroidism, and we worked for about a year, and the cat was sort of staying okay. The values were increasing in the blood, and the cat was sinking slightly. And she was getting more concerned, and she didn't want to try another homeopathic vet. I suggested someone with a different perspective might be able to help more. And so she did go for the surgery, and the cat totally recovered, was doing fine, lived for another year and a half, and then got really, really ill. Would that have happened if we stayed with homeopathy? I don't know. So sometimes we make a choice to go conventional. there's a tumor and it's not responding and it's getting worse. And we know that if we cut the tumor off, it may weaken the energy field. We may not be able to pull it back up, but it seems that the tumor is causing too much problem. So it's this judgment call. I would encourage everybody who's a member to put in the search at the library, put in HMDM, and that's holistic medical decision making. And we've talked about it a lot. We don't bring it up as much as maybe we should. And it's a way of helping you stay focused on making your decisions. Do I go to a conventional vet? Do I call my holistic vet? Do I have to, or can I try something at home? And then research, mostly on holistic actions from all of our good stuff and our links to other good people. And then take all the information and decide what your next steps are, make a plan, and then learn about evaluation of response, cure, palliation, and suppression. Okay, that will help you then know if you're moving in the right direction or not moving in the right direction. So Carla is asking, so the key, before I totally go to Carla specifically, I want everybody to really get that each of us, each of our animals, each of us is on a journey of soul, a soul journey of health. And sometimes we develop symptoms or behaviors or feelings, and we do something and it clears up and everything's fine for the rest of the life. Other times it's a very circuitous route. It takes twists and turns. And our goal is having our animals feel the best, regardless of what's going on with them. And we've discovered in lots of our webinars,
Yeah, nope, she's frozen, Anna and Jenny. And I don't know what Christina was gonna say, except that maybe she was about to mention that lots of our webinars are focused on the importance of no, that lots of the HA webinars are focused on fine-tuning the body by allowing our animals to focus on their zone of joy and love. So, number one, whenever there's a health condition, is to go ahead and identify what makes your cat or your dog the happiest. And by focusing more and more on that happy zone, then they will rebalance as best as their body is able to be. Whether it's a homeopathy or traditional Chinese medicine or any other energetic medicine, what we're doing is always the same. We are helping the body do its job, and it is always, 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 like all of nature, is always designed to rebalance. There may be something getting in the way, and it's our job to try and remove those obstacles. But no matter what the health challenge is, if it's not a physical thing that you can remove, then definitely deal with the underlying joy, happiness, and love of the individual, because it really, really is gonna make a big difference. I remember Aaron Beck, who's the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy. He passed away recently, and one of his last interviews was about treating these severe human schizophrenics that nothing was working for, until they found out that when those individuals were doing their happiest things, or what Aaron called when they were in their sweet spot, they would normalize. They would be like normal individuals again. But the trick is you've got to do it frequently. So it's not that you have to focus on making your animals happy all day, but Ideally, every couple of hours, even if you just look over at your dog or cat, catch their eye, gaze at them lovingly, and beam, energy, healing energy to them. It's gonna always help for sure. And I have no idea if that's what Dr. Christina was gonna say, and we're never gonna find out. She gets back. And Carla, that's what she was about to say. Carla asked about homeopathic suggestions for an 8-year-old pom developing hair loss. And I would say that it depends on the individual, and that there is not one homeopathic medicine for hair loss. And I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the screen because I thought there was a question that we missed. Well, that's right, it was Carlos, and Carla had to leave. What you may want to do is add in something called Ultra EFA, and I'll put that in the chat if I can. Ultra EFA. And that is a blend from a company called RX Vitamins for Pets. That is a blend that is really, really amazing when it comes to helping with hair loss or other allergic phenomena. My first question in the it depends category comes from what they are eating. What are you feeding? And it looks like Erica came back, and I lost Carla's. There it is. So no specific homeopathic medicine, but you did say cheese rotation, small batch, good raw and fresh foods. That's great. You don't use synthetic meds. Also great, but you definitely want to check for fleas because that can cause the hair loss. Your best bet is just buy an inexpensive flea comb. It's like a very fine tooth comb, and just run it through a couple times a day, especially focusing on the back and the tail base area, which is where the fleas tend to live a lot. And if there are fleas, then that is the first thing I would do regarding the hair loss, is trying your best to get rid of the fleas. Bettina asked about tooth cleaning, tooth spot beginning, and Bettina, again, it really depends on your individual, whether they need the dental or not. I would recommend booking at least an HMGM call, a 15-minute call, where we can go over this one-on-one to figure out, if that is necessary or not. And you can do that with your 50% off code as an HA member. And there was something, Erica, you asked about your friend's dog with Addison a while ago. I thought that you had a leave, but in general, again, the Addisons, some that they can die from, but it can also be very benign, so it will depend on the individual. And there's no general suggestion that we have that isn't in the holistic 101 course. So I would say for free, maybe recommend your friend start there with the 101 course, which will give them the basics of what to do with any imbalance, problems such as the Addisonian. And Callie, Erica's kitty, is at the vet because of a pretty severe anemia and a large spleen. Those two things go together. So the spleen actually houses a lot of the blood cells. So the enlarged spleen, getting rid of the enlarged spleen may be the suggestion that your vet has, to bring up the red count, but certainly at 17, that's a pretty severe anemia. Lots of labs outweighing results. Yeah. So there actually are red blood cell parasites that your vet will be able to easily treat. That may help bring up the blood count. But that's going to be, depending on what the blood results show. Let me just see if there's anything else in our last few minutes. Okay, so no fleas, that's a good sign. So definitely lean on the ultra EFA and or other allergy type supports. But the ultra EFA is a good start. Is there any other remedy for both other than Nexvomica? And yeah, Jen, there are tons and tons of remedies because hairballs are often the result of a intestinal tract of stomach and upper intestine that aren't well balanced. So there are many remedies: pulsatilla, phosphorus, aconite. Pretty much every remedy in the book can be used for a cat with hairballs, but I would also be working right away to balance out that microbiome. What you can do with good probiotics, like start with the probiotics from Adored Beast. Maybe rotate them with probiotics from Biome. Probio Defense is a good one, but rotating probiotics is the best way to get balance. And regarding the hairballs, brush them as often as you can. And there is great hairball. Yep, that's exactly what I was about to recommend. Bettina, I know we recommended that for you. Is that the hairball gold from Pet Wellbeing is a good supplement for cat with hairballs. So thank you, Bettina, for mentioning that. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, so and I would start with the Adored Beast for the kitty cats. I think they've got Felix's Flora, which is a cat specific probiotic, which is important, but you need to then move on to really any probiotic or any fermented food that's going to have more beneficial bacteria than anything. And if your kitties go outside, let them play in the dirt, and they'll get good soil-based bacteria. But Adored Beast also has good range of soil-based bacteria. So we are gonna wrap it up. Monday, as Dr. Christina said, is the HA, the Holistic Actions member tour. So for any of you members that have any questions about using the website or about anything else that may be related, we'll see you Monday at 8 o'clock. And otherwise, everyone here that's not a member, we'd love to see you as a member, or otherwise we will see you in July's Q&A, which is on the last Friday in July, whatever day that happens to be. And thank you all for coming, and thank you for putting up with me alone when Dr. Christina wasn't able to be with us. So have a good day. Enjoy your Julys. Bye-bye.